cheer. How does it feel to become the darling of the troll armies?
Can I thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity, and I think it's this story needs to be told and retold and spoken about, not just in studios, not just in clubs where we sit or in friends' places. This story will have to be said in gully, mohalla, nukkad, anywhere, street corners. And we need to speak about it till such a time every Indian citizen understands that this is what has happened. And this is going to impact on his life. And this one tax, GST, impacts on 140 billion people's lives. There is no tax which does this kind of a cutting across sections and reaching to every citizen. Meaning, every citizen waking up in the morning has something or the other bought in the market which has an implication, GST implication. And therefore, taking a major overall revamp is a big exercise. It required so much of working hours, intense working hours. The bureaucracy was completely with me in every moment, like when I would return saying, I'm unhappy with this aspect of the proposal, redo it and come back. There was never a bitter moment or a grudge or a unhappiness. So they've worked together to deliver on a promise which Prime Minister Modi gave, and that is why the contours of the central government's proposal to the GST was defined. And it is going to impact positively every citizen's life, and therefore, Navika, for giving me this opportunity, I'm indeed very grateful. Now, coming to the troll side of the story. There have been a very severe criticism, attack, sometimes well understood, and then, sometimes understanding the implication of prevailing GST and trolling, or some other times without understanding how the GST structure works, trolling. So I've taken it all in my stride. It's not that I'm projecting myself to be, oh look, I've taken it. Well, at least over the decades, the kind of counseling, the kind of advice, the elders in the family, who have all helped me to, remain equanimous. You'll have difficult days, you can have good days. Both of them are similar. So
it doesn't matter.
Yes, I take lessons from that and work, but I don't also get too excited about good comments.
So, Nirmala Tai, as they call you on social media, they're now calling you some good names. Cookie Tai, who's very giving. Yeah, they're calling you.
I've not spent so much time on my social media in the last few days.
Nirmala Tai doesn't feel.
Actually, Tai is a word of respect in my
Yes, yes.
So I'm okay with that as well.
No, but Cookie Tai. Earlier, Nirmala Tai was very stern. She was giving taxes, and now everybody's saying there are memes that are actually saying that I'm taking voluntary retirement from the troll army, and I'm sorry because one person has even tweeted and said, I thank Nirmala Tai from the bottom of my heart, my kidney, my femur, because all medical equipment prices have come down. So he's named every single organ. Some of those comments heartening. You must take a look at them. They'll bring us.
I haven't spent any time on my social media in the last 1 week, I must say, because I had to be.
But was there pressure on you in terms of the criticism that was coming the government's way that the GST reforms were long overdue? Was there pressure on you, and were you working with that weight on your mind?
No, if there was to be some pressure, it would have been even for last 2 years because of the way in which in social media we've been pulled up on various scores. If there was a pressure anywhere, I didn't allow it to enter into my scheme of things. But of course, the lessons and also the suggestions which have been coming, I've been quite seriously taking them on and seeing if I can address them. And that is where this exercise was not just a little, tweak here, little tweak there. It was a comprehensive, like dredging a reservoir, taking all the old sand, old muck out, and trying to give it a fresh lease of life. And in that, every item I have gone through. And nothing escaped the team's eyes. We couldn't ignore this, we couldn't ignore that. Everything has been looked at. And that is why it took intense 8 months from my time.
8 months.
8 months.
You worked on this. So, राहुल गांधी को आप क्या कहेंगे और कांग्रेस पार्टी को आप क्या कहेंगे? क्योंकि कांग्रेस पार्टी तो कह रही है कि रिफॉर्म्स 8 साल टू लेट आए हैं. ये पहले आने चाहिए थे क्योंकि राहुल गांधी जी ने आपको ये एडवाइस 2016 में दी थी कि ये गब्बर सिंह टैक्स जो है ये सही नहीं.
If I just take it as reforms and they've come late as reforms, leaving aside the GST side for a moment, as a reform, it's come late. In a way, the opposition party is conceding that the reform has happened and happened in a big way. They should be gracious enough to say it rather than couch it in so many words. That's a plain and simple expectation. But if they are saying, we've been saying this, leader of the opposition has been saying this, you've yielded to it, I wonder why he doesn't tell when their own government was in power. Why didn't he advise them then? अरे रिफॉर्म ले आओ, जीएसटी को गब्बर सिंह टैक्स नहीं कहना चाहिए, मगर आप जीएसटी कम से कम ले आओ. Why didn't he advise his own UPA government? And in fact, he has been a prodigal leader. He could have advised even in 1991, no, Dr. Manmohan Singh, post the opening up of the Indian economy, there were so many promises under the IMF and World Bank which were left unattended. Please do take it up. Age doesn't matter then or even now. Age never matters. If your wise counsel can be given, you could have given it then.
1991 तो राहुल गांधी छोटा था.
I don't know about that. Even today he is a youth leader. So I don't want to discount anybody for age. If the wisdom prevailed and it is available for from the opposition for the current government, that wisdom should have been available even for their own government. Be it the UPA between 2004 and 14 or even 91. So it's sometimes it's outrageous wanting to take credit where it is not due to them, and wanting to also grudge giving credit where they should have been generous enough to speak about, because this is going to impact on 140 crore people of this country. If you're smart enough, you'll be party to it, you'll be part of it, and take credit and go to the people saying, we've supported this proposal, we are happy to see the rates coming down. They are not willing to do, they are utterly frustrated. So they come up with, there is not even one voice in the Congress party. There is one former finance minister saying it's come 10 years too late, 8 years too late. It's come. But during your term, it never came even belatedly.
They couldn't get GST passed.
There's that voice, there's this voice, there's a third voice, there's a fourth voice. Come on, you're the opposition party. India deserves better. Come on and say with one voice, are you with it or are you not? It's just frustration which is playing out.
Nirmala ji, Mamata Banerjee, the Trinamool Congress, well, they're trying their best to take the credit as well, especially the GST on life insurance and medical insurance is something that they say Mamata Didi wrote to you almost a year ago. So would you share the credit with her?
First of all, I respect particularly women leaders who are in politics. West Bengal's finance minister is also a lady, and she talks very well in the GST Council, even if it is opposing a certain issue on which I would come up with one side and she would come up with, even with all that said, very considered and well put forth ideas, even if it's opposing me. But a woman leader, and I've said this in the council itself, there are times when you hear with conviction, when one has done one's homework and takes a position, it's absolutely respectful. All right, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee could have written a letter to me on insurance. My point is, the first thing I came out of GST Council and addressed the media, I thanked every minister of finance who was in the council, irrespective of party affiliation, saying all of you all put together, all of us put together, have come up with something which is going to be stunningly, positively impacting on people. And therefore, I am grateful to each one of them. In fact, I'll disclose something which I normally don't. Yesterday, I wanted to do it even day before, but I did yesterday. Write to each one of these finance ministers, personally thanking them for having done this extraordinary work of a constitutional body which works together, comes out with consensus decisions for people-friendly policies. I've written to each one of them, irrespective of party, irrespective of the state where they are.
Is this the pure spirit of democracy, constitution, federalism?
Absolutely. And for the fact that the GST Council is the one and only council, constitutional body which has been created post-independence, I think we stood all the test of differences of opinion and came up with something. You see how the people of India are rejoicing, saying, oh, ultimately everybody worked together, gave us a result. It is to the credit of each one of them in the GST Council, and I will not grudge giving credit to each one of them, irrespective of parties. Everybody worked together. Of course, everyone strongly argued for the position that they wanted, for the kind of argument that they were putting forth. All of us gave each other the space to hear it. In fact, some of the new members in the GST Council were later on telling me how amicably this council works. How nice to see a council work like this, where parties with differences are sitting together and talk. I'm fully in praise of the GST Council.
So what are you saying? Are you saying this is very different from what happens in Parliament, where all political parties are there, that the leaders of the political parties create more ruckus than the disciplined finance ministers and soldiers who actually have to do the nuts and bolts of delivering governance?
See, the point here is, as finance ministers and as ministers who, come what may, will have to find the resources to fund the promises given to the people and to run the government efficiently. All of us ultimately, over and above politics, keep revenue above politics. Revenue generation is our duty. And revenue generation is for the sake of people. Similarly, tax revenue generated will also have to be used optimally. We should know where to put that 1 rupee which we've earned in the name of tax, so that it returns best of outputs. It should be for the good of all, and that optimum utilization of every taxpayer's rupee is also our duty. And therefore, despite all the political differences, finance ministers do have their head on their shoulder to say eventually we'll have to raise the revenue. So it's not as if we are flamboyantly giving it away at one side and other side say, oh, what's going to happen? We are equally arguing on both and doing what's good for the people. And therefore, I repeat, I sent the letters individually thanking every one of them, and I take this opportunity through your channel to say every finance minister did their maximum best. One, to put forth the idea, and another to say ultimately we'll have to. In fact, I used the word Dharma Sankata in the council. I said there are Dharma Sankatas for each one of them. Some of them voice it more than once, some of them emphatically say it. But that Dharma Sankata is there for everybody. Union government is also not sitting on a pot full of gold. So I appreciate that.
So you're saying remove the chiefs of the parties, the main leaders of the parties, and things can actually happen. जहां पर बड़े लीडर आ जाते हैं वहां पोस्चरिंग शुरू हो जाती है. क्या आप यही कहना चाह रही हैं?
I am saying that if the inputs with which we work in the council are also kept in mind while coming up with a final position or a critical position, I'll be quite happy to receive the criticism. But without understanding how layered decision making is to be in a council, in a constitutional body, to give comments sometimes exposes their insufficient understanding.
So the Congress party is saying सरकार आपकी, सिस्टम उनका चल रहा है क्योंकि आप जो वो सजेस्ट करते हैं आप वही करती हैं.
यही बोल रहे हैं ना. भारत देश में जब if there is a leader like Prime Minister Modi, there are opinions being heard and we execute a lot of things for the will of the people. Whereas that comment is never available for their own governments, whether in the states or when they are in the union government. So they should make up their mind whether they want to be joining in forces to take credit, but be gracious while doing that, rather than act smart to say, you know, it's my advice that you followed. Give that advice to your states. Please go to your states and give that advice there and see if it is getting executed. That's your duty. We execute good advice or execute things which are going to help people. So no comparison.
But there are statements. For example, Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, has said GST was supposed to be one nation, one tax, but it actually became one nation, 9 taxes. Then Mr. Jairam Ramesh has said that within 20 days you implemented after the Prime Minister's announcement during the August 15th speech at the Red Fort. He says that this was a road roller, it was just a show of a GST council. आपने फैसला तो पहले ही ले लिया था, बाकियों को road roll कर दिया. And some in the Congress are saying कि ये तो 8 साल बहुत देर कर दी. How do you respond to this variety of charges?
Variety of charges all emanating from the same house, which is the Congress party. My worry is they're getting too obsessed and frustrated. They don't know how in the opposition you can still give credit and be in the opposition with respect. They don't seem to understand on matters which are so publicly well received. They can't be at the edges or fringes and talk as though, you know, this is nothing significant. You be a part of this national mainstream to build this country. If economy is doing well, Navika, it is because of the toil, sweat and toil of our common people. Government at best comes up with favorable policies and at best comes up with ecosystems which can be created to help everybody who is doing his business. And therefore, economy going fastest. I thank people of India. Inflation coming down because of the various supply chain bottlenecks which we removed. It's going to help the people down there who are supplying goods, buying goods. And as a result, inflation comes down. Eventually, if we think that we sitting in the opposition are driving the country, I'm sorry, there are times they've driven almost towards chaos, which because there's a responsible ruling dispensation across states, the country is still on, as you say in Hindi,